Welcome to Catholic Party for America, and today we are coming back again with you today with Brother Alexis Bonello to talk about the duties of patriotism. And as Don Juan of Austria said at the Battle of Lepanto, there is no paradise for cowards. And so we welcome Brother Alexis to the show.
Thank you, AJ. It's an honor to be with you, and a descendant of the John Quincy Adams, the founders of America, and to talk about this wonderful topic, patriotism, the duties of patriotism, which you almost never hear anyone talk about anymore. But that's a really great quote. There's no paradise for cowards, meaning if you want to be a coward, you end up in heaven. You're not going to win glory, and no one's ever going to speak well of you. And we live in an age where people don't think about that.
Yeah. There was this Catholic YouTuber on last night, and he said some good things and a lot of bad things, a lot of cowardice things. And before we get into his errors, if you want to say those, let us talk about the duties of patriotism and love of our country. Now, we all know America's been betrayed. Well, betrayed by the Democrats way back. During the Woodrow Wilson era. Then we have the Republicans, the Thomas Jefferson type Republicans, based on the era of the French Revolution, who finally showed their true colors in stabbing 70, 80 million people in the back, not fighting for the right for us to vote and to have their voice silenced. What would have been the true love of a nation? The true love of a nation would have been to stop all proceedings in those states who had issues with their voting records on, or were these real ballots or were they not real ballots, and to make sure that the proper people got their voice heard and the votes counted. All they had to do was to stop proceedings and send things back to the legislators. Now, they did not do that. In a few days, Joe Biden will be sworn in, and people are losing hope. They're saying that is the end of the republic, and that is not the end. We faced worse things before, and that is why back in September, before all this craziness started with what was going on with the election, we started in Catholic Party for America because we were noticing things about what was going on, and nothing was being done. The corruption, the constant do-nothings of the riots by BLM and Antifa and all the anarchists, and people wanting to be protected, and it wasn't being done. And I was thinking and wondering what could be done. And so I decided to do what I love best and knew who I was related to. I decided to go read the works of John Adams, Samuel Adams, John Quincy Adams, George Washington. And then it was there that I noticed their vision for America is not what we have today. And so on our platform page, you'll see very pro American, pro Christian policy platforms that are based on their vision, the vision of old Christendom in Europe, where everything goes back to the people. And and what would you add on to that?
Well, AJ, I think it's a wonderful thing you founded this party, and in a way, you're trying to preserve and restore what your forefathers gave this country, and that's what we need. There's a lot of people out there that found political parties who are not related to the founders of this nation, so they're really butting in. Okay, now I'm an Italian American. All my relatives came to the United States after like 1860. So I don't really have a say about it, but I'm honored to collaborate with you in this party because you are a descendant of the founding fathers and you have a duty and a right that others don't have. But you need a good sense of history to understand that America has become what America has never intended to be because of foreign influence and foreign errors. Okay. Marxism doesn't come from America. It's not an American idea. Socialism is not an American idea. And the idea that you have to follow the letter of the law, even if you take away the rights of the people, all the people, is not an American idea. Okay. That is an absolutionist um, idea that comes from corrupt tyrannies elsewhere in the world. Doesn't come from America. America's founded on the people are sovereign. They have the rights, and everything, elected officials, courts, laws, must bend to them because the state is for their benefit, not for the benefit of the people in the state capitals or in Washington, D.C. And what we're seeing in America now is this complete breakdown because we have a parasitical political class who are trying to make America their little fiefdom and turn us into slaves. And what Mike Pence did was an intolerable act. He slapped 300 million people in the face and said, don't you even try to tell us who's going to be president. We pick the president. Mm-hmm. The vote doesn't matter. The fraud doesn't matter. The fraudulent certifications don't matter. If we say it's okay, shut up. And the people who have been made wealthy by Wall Street, the founders of these big social media companies, I think they can shut people out and silence them. That's just not acceptable. That's not American. And we cannot tolerate that. If we tolerate that, we are betraying everything the founding fathers gave us. I mean, they started a revolution for 0.4% of tax on tea and paper, and we're going to let them silence the American president by kicking them off all their platforms. We're going to let them to deny Americans to travel on planes or stay in hotels or get jobs at certain companies or shop in certain stores because they voted for one candidate rather than another. Mm-hmm. That's not America. That's a Marxist or a fascist dictatorship. Mm-hmm. And there's no way you can tolerate that. If you tolerate that, there's something wrong with you. Okay.
Yeah. So the duties of patriotism is to do is oh okay. Screen just went dark on me. Okay.
No, I still got you, AJ, and I still you see it.
Okay. Duties of patriotism is to do what you can for your country because you love your country. You love your history of your country. You want to restore and preserve your country. And there are those, I'd be many people who do not want that. They want the continue status quo to continue with the continuation of the same certain elect few to be in charge and not restore this country and this government back to the people. And when you bring this up to them, they get really, really angry. These certain few, because they don't want their power and control to end. And I hate to say it, the education system has brainwashed a good number of people, even those in, well, I just have to say it, Ireland, from what I personally experienced yesterday. They think every single founding father was a Mason. Only like four or five of them were Masons, the rest were Protestants, and one was Catholic. And when you tell them that, they get angry again. And they show you the original drawing of the inspiration for the Statue of Liberty. And I was like, yeah, that was a Mason statue made by Mason. And if we get into power, you see those giant statues of Christ the King in Poland? We're going to have them here. Replace those Mason statues. And they still got pissed over that.
There's a lot of people who hate America. Okay, outside the United States, that's true. But even in the United States, there's a lot of people who hate America. If you are part of the tree, you don't want any termites. But if you're a termite, the last thing you want is a fumigator to come by over to the tree and start fumigating it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take that as an example. If you love the tree, you are the enemy of the termite. And if you are a parasite, you are enemy of all those who love that tree. Because, well, you love it to eat it and destroy it. And this is what we have in American political class that is parasitical in the sense of it wants America for its own benefit. It wants federal taxes to spend with its own friends, and it definitely doesn't want anyone to tell them otherwise. And they've gotten to the point now they want to shut you down, take away your guns, and lock you up. As one great patriot said, more people have been arrested for taking Nancy Pelosi's podium than have been for stealing the votes of 80 million people.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nancy Pelosi is part of the elite,
Mm-hmm.
and stealing your vote doesn't matter to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do conclude with what this YouTuber said, that it's a waste to vote for the Democrats or the Republicans anymore. They're trying to impeach their own president.
Yeah.
And we need politicians that are going to fight for the people. If you love the people and you love America and you won the vote, you're going to fight like heck to see that you get the office because you won the vote. You don't give up saying, well, I personally don't want the conflict. No, if you run for office, you're serving the people. You got to fight for the people to the end and never give up. And you can't say, I'm not giving up, but then give up. You can't have it both ways, saying, oh, I didn't say I give up, but you let the other person take the office. It doesn't work that way. That's not Christianity. That's not even sane psychology. So the other thing I like about what this YouTuber said is Christ alone is our savior. Okay, he's going to save America. But that doesn't mean that we should give up. Okay, so this is quietism is an error from France. It's not from the United States. Quietism is an error of religion that says all I have to do is go in my room and pray, and God will solve all the problems of the world. I personally don't have to do anything. I don't have to risk anything. And this comes down to what real patriotism. If you're going to love your country, you're going to risk for your country.
Yeah.
You're not willing to risk anything for your country, you have no patriotism.
Yeah.
If you are going to risk everything for your country, you have the greatest patriotism. That's the measure.
And it goes into one of his other parts. He didn't really say the word, but he was pointing to it. Defeatism is the new patriotism, according to him.
The new spirituality. Okay. So Christianity is not about defeatism. Okay. And a lot of false preachers are saying, well, if you want a Christian, you just accept what's ever going on. True Christianity has never been the Christianity of the tyrannical state where you kiss the hand of the tyrant because you want peace for the church. That's not Christianity. Okay. Christ didn't go to the cross and die under Pontius Pilate to teach us to kiss the hand of tyrants. That's not why he did it. He had to make his sacrifice for the redemption of the world. But he did not say that you should tolerate persecution. Matter of fact, if you're persecuted, he says flee to another town, which basically is saying don't tolerate a tyrant. Okay. Now, in America, God has blessed us. Okay, I don't think you can deny that. And people who do deny that because they once have some political agenda that's for this or that. God has blessed us as a great country, and by loving America, we don't mean to say America as a political entity has not had its bad moments, has not done things that are unjust, or doesn't still have some injustice in it. We're not saying that, but this far that we've got is God's blessing, and we need to not allow the whole political and civil order get crushed by a Marxist state simply because we personally don't want to risk anything. That's cowardice.
Yep. But he says there is no revolution, but and he goes on to say, talking about how he's losing followers on Twitter and everyone's getting purged and things like that. That is the new revolution. Where they censor us.
I don't know how anyone can say there's not a war on. First of all, they don't know what war is. And second of all, if you have organized hostility of one group against another group, that's war. It's not yet to the level of military, okay? But it is a serious, and it is an ideological conflict, because on one side, you have an ideology that says we must destroy America and enslave everyone. On the other side, you have people that aren't ideological. A lot of us are Christians, not everyone is, but want liberty. And so those are two irreconcilable systems. One is a criminal organization, which has to be tried. And you can see that the Republicans didn't do anything in 4 years to try Obama or Hillary or Biden for their crimes, or Hunter Biden, and their crimes were met. They didn't do anything even to clean out the federal administration so that these people could be tried. They left the rot in there, and the rot didn't want to do anything about it. And so the rot bit their butts.
Yeah.
So, and that's not patriotic. If you're not willing to drain the swamp and root up the rot, you don't love the country. You're just lying to people when you pander for their votes.
Mm-hmm. And this big one. A vote in the United States of America is a waste of time. It's like, we're not supposed to, he wants Catholics to not vote anymore. All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's a saying, and Rudy Giuliani quoted it in his talk last night on his channel there in Rumble. for evil men to prevail, only one thing is necessary, that good men do nothing. So, and the man he's quoting, I don't think was particular, it wasn't a minister or anything. I think it's a English philosopher, Burke. I think it's Burke who said it. And this is the doctrine of Christ. You have the duty to do good. You have a duty to let your light shine upon the world. You can't hide it under a bushel basket. Our Lord said, you put your light, you set up the lantern in the room on height to give light out. You don't hide it in the bushel. You hide it in the bushel basket, it's going to catch fire and burn the house down. And to imply that spirituality or honesty or holiness or patriotism means doing nothing and letting everything go to pot, that's cowardice pretending to be patriotism. That's what that is.
Yeah. And this YouTuber knows about this Catholic Party for America. And so does all of his other friends out there. And they have yet to even acknowledge it, but rather want the easy way out of either doing nothing or they want to break up this nation and succeed from it.
So, well, we saw this before November 3rd. We said the first people who say it's a mortal sin not to vote for Trump will be the first people to say Biden is the president. Remember we said that?
Yep.
And these exactly are the same people. They all agree that Biden will be president on the 20th. Or that you should tolerate it. Yeah. And let me tell you, I don't tolerate it. AJ, you don't tolerate it. You can't tolerate a lie. Okay? You cannot tolerate a lie. And whether Trump wants to be a president or not, we have a patriotic duty to see he is president. Yeah. Okay? Because you cannot steal the election. The 14th Amendment, as we mentioned before, the 14th Amendment guarantees that without the due process of law, you cannot be deprived of your civil liberties. And a Secretary of State, if they certify a falsified vote tally, is violating the due process of law and is depriving you of your civil liberties. And if a state official does that, they're committing a crime against everyone in America if that is used by another one like Mike Pence to certify a fraud. That violates the Fifth Amendment. The federal government cannot deprive you of life, liberty, or property, and liberty includes your civil rights, without due process of law. And what Mike Pence did was not the due process of law, even though he tries to pretend that his fraud was the due process of law. And we as a party, Catholic Party of America, we stand for the Fifth and the 14th Amendments. Because if you don't stand for that, there's no way to protect the people. They're there to protect the people. Okay, so talking heads that are neglecting all this, they're just ignorant. They're so unpatriotic. They don't even know their own constitution. They don't know their own duty. And when people talk like this, who are also members of the U.S. military or in military academies studying to be officers or get higher grades, it's completely shameful. It's completely shameful. It's cowardice of the worst kind. I don't want to hear any of these people talk about what it means to be a man again, because they don't even, I mean, a woman has more masculinity in her pinky finger if she was there on the mall with Donald Trump in December on January 6th than these guys have ever had, will ever have.
Yeah. Yeah. Supposedly the guy is military. And thankfully, we do not have a time machine, because then I'd go to talk to somebody who's in charge of the entire army.
We did this program today because we love America and we want to warn you of these people who are frauds. Okay, there are so many YouTubers that are complete frauds, and right now we're in what's called the silence of cowards. The coward is the kind of person who's not going to fight the battle, but you know he's not going to fight because he's not readying his gun and he's not preparing for battle. But the worst traitor is not only not doing that, he's telling you there's not going to be a civil war. Don't get misled. Go home and forget all about it and pray and you'll get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you want to fight for liberty, you want to fight for this great nation of ours, and if you want to restore it back to the vision of the founding fathers, which is back to Jesus Christ, join Catholic Party for America. We are growing. I can tell you that. We are East Coast to Midwest so far. I can tell you that. Go to CatholicPartyForAmerica.com. That is Catholic Party, FOR, America.com. And please read the platform, read our 12 points. It would be, when you read the platform, you'll be mind blowing away and see how refreshing this all will be, what it used to be, what this country used to be under the founding fathers. When you read the platform, it just be, wow, that's what America was like. Yes, we were open, free, very, very, very limited federal government. Everything was back to the states, and the states had their rights back from pre-Civil War, and the human person inside the womb was protected. And and if you want to fight for that, join us. And if you don't want to do anything for this nation and want to be, as Thomas Paine put, sunshine warriors, we don't want you. We want winter warriors. We'll fight in good times and bad for this nation. Any last words?
We want a party of the common people. I think if anything, if you've learned anything in the last week, it's that you need to unplug your loyalty from the talking heads, from the fake politicians, and say, I, as an American citizen, I have a right to have America and a politics for us, little people. We're the 300 million that make this country up. We're not the 500,000 elitists. So if your talking head is not telling you what we told you today, turn off their channel, become a member of Catholic Party of America, and let's make a new future that is America the way she used to be and should have always been. This is what it means to make America great again, make America Christian again. It's not a slogan you throw out on Twitter to get people to follow your accounts. It really means something, and we need people who have that kind of zeal and that kind of love for this country and for all of their fellow American citizens.
Yep. So God bless America, and God save the Republic.
God bless America. God save the Republic.